Hi everybody and welcome back to my modeling channel. So today we're gonna restore an MD-80 who was also badly damaged in one of my relocation. So as you can see, I mean, it arrived in a pretty bad shape. So fuselage has been broken, paint has been really scratched. You can see over here maybe, yeah, probably, well, the paint was quite damaged. So it was very difficult to restore, so I decided to keep it in a storage, and then we're gonna work this out and make a new one and try to save that kit. So enough of talking and let's start renovating. So initially we're gonna start that restoration by dismantling the whole kit. So I will have to open the whole fuselage, as about 20 years ago, I think, when I built that kit, I used some Play-Doh, but it dried over the years and it started to rotten and it was moving freely inside the aircraft. So I decided to get rid of that and to correct this. So I opened the whole fuselage, and then after that we decided to rebuild everything from scratch, more or less. So I add some regular modeling paste toward the front to avoid having that MD-80 sitting on its tail, and then we're gonna reglue the whole fuselage together, then along with the windshield. So I realized while I was gluing this that some parts of the wings junction basically were avoiding me to close the fuselage, so I had to remove them, and of course I reglue everything all together. Once the glue is cured, of course we're gonna fill all those gaps with some putty. So I will have to put it all over the model once again. I also had some issue on the tail while I was trying to dismantle basically both sides of the fuselage, so I had to do an extra on that side, and of course the windscreen and the clear part, where former clear part basically have to be covered with some Tamiya putty. So while this will be drying, I'm gonna rework on the engine. I'm gonna rescribe basically some panel on the back, and those are to basically to show the thrust reversers and of course the engine anti-ice. Though then I decided to, as in the old days I used to have only one color for all the engines, I decided to change that and repainted the fan blade and the intake of the engine. Then it's time to move on to that time-consuming sanding part, but nevertheless this is a mandatory part to get a pretty decent model. So I will remove all that extra putty, and on top of that the former paint and the former decals will go as well, and you'll have a better picture a little bit later on that restoration model can come up. So once we finish with this part, we're gonna rescribe some panel lines who disappeared below the paint and the putty. So I will rescribe everything slowly, but I already have a guide, so it was not I didn't need to use some strong adhesive tape or some thick adhesive tape to redo it. So that was just enough to let me go with my free hand. Then we're gonna glue our wings on our fuselage, and this time I'll have to exhaust a little bit more carefully because we don't have those guide parts basically that I removed previously. Then of course we're gonna remove the gaps between the wings and the fuselage, and the same for the elevator later on. After once we finish this, we're gonna basically put the elevator back on its tail, and then we'll be able to remove all those gaps with some extra putty. And we are back into sanding mode, so we're gonna remove all those extra putty once again. And but you know, sanding is a big part of modeling as well when we want to get nice result. So back to this place, and we're gonna remove all those nasty extra putty, and I will also remove a part of the paint who was not really nice. I figured out that I could get a better result if I remove that one. After carefully washing the model, now we can move to the paint booth, and for this I'm gonna paint a light gray coat over the wings and the stabilizer. I will use that part later on for the tail and other parts, as I didn't knew at that time that hadn't decided to go for the American Airlines livery. So we're gonna paint these, and then there will be as well some metallic part and some covering up on the tail. And basically what I changed my choice was I didn't realize that some of those MD-80 didn't have a screwdriver tail, and so I had to find basically a livery with the screwdriver tail. And I had some in my decal stash, some of my Minicraft decal remaining from an American Airlines MD-82, so I decided to go for that livery. So nevertheless, now we're gonna paint that nice shiny metallic part on the wings and the leading edge. So we're gonna do this part as well, and then when the paint would have dried out, we'll cover the mask. We'll also use some exhaust just after basically the thrust reversers, and then we're gonna paint it again. So then, after deciding to go for the American Airlines livery, I had to repaint some of the parts with that light gray color, which is the underbelly, the tail, the nose as well, and the nose, the head-on basically. Those parts had to be repainted in a light gray color, but nothing too difficult basically. So it's just another layer, and then of course we're gonna let it dry, having some curing time, and then while this is curing up, we're gonna add those parts that I didn't have on the engines. So I took the lens, as the lens of the engines were the right one, and then I cut them at the proper size, and then I was able to fix them later on those engines. So back to the paint booth, and this time we're gonna apply a nice coat of shiny metal polish color on the overall fuselage. And I have to say that I had to put 2 layers this time to make sure that I had the correct shininess, I would say, if I may say so, to make sure that I could get that proper effect on that metallic aircraft. Then of course we're going to use the same color to use and to paint our cowl anti-ice, and then we'll put the second layer of course of that glossy and shiny metal polish. So the kit doesn't provide as well the shoe for that nose landing gear, so I'm gonna show you how I was proceeding. So I normally add a little bit of plastic rod on top, basically of the wheel, and I will let it cure. Then I will trim it just toward the edge. But while this is curing, I will use some plastic parts, plastic card, and then I will cut that basically that shoe, that gear shoe, and I'm just preparing that with a scalpel knife, preparing those two parts and both side, left and right side of the shoe. Then we're gonna trim the plastic, as you can see, when it has dried, and then we're gonna add some very thin glue, and then we'll be able to put that shoe directly on the undercarriage. So I will put it on both sides. Then there will be the back part, and so there will be a little bit of fiddling. Then we're gonna take the size and the measurement, and then we're gonna cut again some plastic card at the correct dimension, and then we're gonna apply it directly on the back of the shoe. And this way we have that nice little shoe that we have on those MD aircraft. So let it dry, and then of course paint it in black like it normally is on most of those aircraft. So after finishing fixing the gear on the fuselage, we're going to apply all our decals for that American airline livery. So I used the Minicraft decals that were provided with the kit about 20 years ago, and I have to say the decals were very soft and still very fragile. They broke in many parts, but so I had to apply a little bit of extra water and a lot of patience to be able to get that into the correct shape. The main issue was to get the nose set up properly, but of course with a little bit of time we came to an acceptable result, I would say. So those decals were quite fragile, so you have to apply a lot of time, a lot of patience, but I have to say that at the end I was quite satisfied with the overall result. So after finishing this up, what we had to do, I apply some solution that softened basically all the decals, especially around the nose, as some parts were still a little bit wrinkly, to avoid all those wrinkles. So then it came to the paint touch-up. So basically I use some white, some red and some blue color basically to correct and to remove basically the broken part, to avoid, to give that effect basically of on the decals, to avoid showing that they were destroyed and broken. So after that we're gonna add some more antennas that were on other kits. So I went in my in some of my remaining kits boxes, and I using some other antennas as well, with some plastic card that are added, and I checked on the picture to make sure that the colors were the same one. The antenna were mainly white colors on that aircraft. Time to put the last American flag on the tail of that MD-90, and then we'll be able to now fix our engine, and the plane will be ready for display. And this is the final result of that MD-80 from American Airlines. I hope you enjoy that restoration with me. If you did so, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you soon for another restoration kit, or another kit review, or another video. Thank you for watching.